projects now, talking about doing a NFT mint as part of our Tribes DAO project, which we're going to give you details on tomorrow. And so we've been trying to solve these problems for months. It's become obvious that these are problems in alignment with what we've been building. I mean, this is quite a common theme for us, which is we solve problems that the space doesn't quite understand are problems yet. So certainly, like auction solves a lot of the problems with DeFi launch pads. And I think people kind of knew there were problems, but didn't really care as much. And the influence solves problems with token-weighted voting. Bank solves problems with tokens vesting, and so on. So yeah, I think there's this time, I think because the NFT space moves so quickly, we're actually solving problems that people are waking up to far quicker. So I think we've got a couple of interesting things going on with this. Matt, just give me the say so, and I'll get going when. Nice one. I'm just digging around for Vitalik's paper. I'm gonna stick that on in a minute as well. Cool. So essentially, we're calling this new app, as is the vogue for our dApp suite. It's going to be called mint.vote, and it's a kind of minting suite. So it's going to be a application suite that DAOs can use if they sort of join an alliance with us. And yeah, we're kind of in this space where, the crypto space has been around for a good decade now. Bitcoin's 12 years old. But since it's been 5 or 6 years that Ethereum has been out and the smart contract ecosystem's exploding, and it's NFTs that are really driving what we consider the mass market use cases of these things. So we're very convinced that NFTs, due to their accessibility, you needed to be a bit of a galaxy brain to understand DeFi. I've studied this space for many years, and I found understanding most of the DeFi primitives very difficult. Whereas NFTs, they're accessible. They're cat pictures, right? They are what they are. But it opens up these incredible use cases for the art world, but also the gaming world. So I can see NFTs broadly forking into two broad directions. One is art. The tokens represent some digital art. That's it. You are buying a piece of art. And the other direction, which is they gain some more elaborate utility in wider token ecosystems. They become a crypto economic primitive in themselves. They become game objects. They become digital identity. They become loot boxes. They can be all of these things, and they are going to happen. And it's all going to happen very quickly. But one of the things that all of these use cases need is a good way to create these assets and distribute them into the market in as fair a way as possible. So one of the main issues with these things is if you're trying to create if these things are in high demand, they have structured scarcity. So there might be 10,000 of them, but there might be 1 million people that want them. And when you're in that situation where you've got a tiny amount of people are able to get the asset, but a lot of people who want it, then you get into these almost adversarial crypto economic problems. And that becomes an issue when there are people who understand the game and people who don't understand the game. And then you get these information asymmetries problems where the people who don't understand the game end up with a raw deal compared to the people who do. this gets really problematic when the people who do understand the game end up with loads of the token supply because they get it, they know how to mine the tokens quicker than you, and then they're just dumping into the market. They don't care about the thing itself, they don't care about the art, they don't care about the utility. They're just getting the token to resell it into latecomers to the market. So the way that we've conceptualized what this is across three crypto economic primitives. One is for mass minting. So this is the kind of things that's been happening with profile picture projects. So like Bored Apes Yacht Club, that kind of thing. It's like Stoner Cats, like all those kind of things. There's a desire to issue a lot of NFTs, a massified minting process, and you want to do that in a way that, as far as possible, is fair and doesn't end up in some huge gas race, or worse, a position where the people are getting lots of failed transactions. So they're actually paying for the base cost of the mint, but also not actually getting the NFT anyway. So they're sending money to it and they're losing money on gas fees without getting the NFT. That's the worst possible outcome, I think. So our first solution is a kind of designed to mass mint NFTs, but mitigate against the issues that many of them get with failed transactions. And the second is what we call a continuous auction. Now, those of you who are familiar with the finance.vote ecosystem and our identity auction will recognize this. This is our rolling auction system, which has dynamic pricing. Now, what this means is instead of saying my NFT is worth $100 and you just waiting for someone to pay it, you are saying, I don't know what the price of this is. The base price is, let's say, $100, but it could go higher. It could go to $1,000, could go to $10,000. The market will decide by choosing at what point to buy the tokens at. And then finally, there's a one-of-one auction, which has a similar mechanism to this, but as I'll explain a bit further down, it uses the mechanism we call the binary search auction, which engages it. This is for high-value NFTs. This is Banksy has decided to do an auction of one NFT. What's the cost of it? Or it should have been used for the Beeple auction, for example. Really high value NFT, and you want to get the best possible price for that NFT. And so this is more like it has a sequence of bidding processes to it. It's not just a one-off buy. So the mass mint works a bit like this. So the mass mint mechanism, it's like an array of tokens. Right, so if you imagine a mint of tokens, let's say there's 10,000 of them, they have token number 1 to token number 10,000 in a kind of stack. Now, what this allows you to do, it's got a few different components to it. One is the problem of failed transactions typically comes down to people trying to mint an NFT that's already been minted. So if I'm going to go for NFT number 7, I put my money in and it'll give you like some crazy high gas fees, and people have paid that. What they've done is try to mint an NFT that's already been minted. And because MetaMask is bad at relaying errors, it basically allows you to spend 3 ETH or something horrible on a failed transaction. So what our system does is I'll show you what the screens look like in a minute. But it has a kind of red, amber, green thing where it tells you, okay, this NFT is available. This one's been minted. This one has been, there is a transaction in the mempool trying to claim this NFT. And that means if you really wanted NFT 420, for example, you can see someone's just posted a a transaction for that in the mempool, you could try and gas race them for it if you wanted to. So this is for basically mitigating against collisions and people trying to mint the same NFT at the same time. The other thing it does is that it uses Merkle roots, uses this thing we're using in Bank to say who can mint these NFTs. So we can say, like for example, for our Tribes DAO scenario tomorrow, we've whitelisted a whole bunch of tokens. So we can say everyone who's holding FVT is allowed to mint this token, or anyone who's holding this token, this token, this token, or this token can mint these tokens. And what that means is that we can add a degree of Sybil resistance to this. So one of the huge problems is mass mints is when someone comes along and mints 500 tokens and just dumps them into the market. So what we're doing is you're allowed one per address, and that's a kind of eligibility gating. So we call that eligibility gating. So this is kind of what it looks like. Dead straightforward. We've tried to get this down to literally one button. You come up and you see, let's say, 1 of 1,000 NFTs. You can either be given a random available one. So if FET 821 is available, that'll be displayed to you by default. You can keep refreshing this until you find another number, or you could enter in FET 420. I want to see if that's available. It's got this simple traffic light system. Green is available, amber is there's a transaction in the mempool, and red is this NFT is being claimed, and a simple progress bar. We've minted 410 out of 1,000 NFTs. So that's the mass mint. The continuous auction is, again, this is our FVT identity auction. You can play with this right now by going to markets.vote and minting an identity. And what you'll see there is that there's a starting price. And if someone mints the token, the price doubles. And then on a block by block rate, it decays down in price, eventually getting back to the starting price. But if it gets halfway down and someone mints it, it doubles again to a higher price. And what you get is an iterative price discovery process. We think this will be great for issuing, let's say, 1 of 100s. You want to sell like 2 or 3 a day. It allows you to mint across several time zones, which is one of the things that is flagged in the Paradigm article. It means that there's an NFT always on sale, while like in a continuous fashion. Very similar input. This is going to be current price. Let's say it's 892. If you mint this, you're going to pay the price will immediately go to like $1,700, for example, and then decay at a rate of in the dollars per minute or thereabouts. It'll just decay in price. Again, one button. Buy now when there's a price that you're willing to pay. The interesting thing about this is that you might have several people watching this page, all waiting for a price that they have in mind, all waiting to hit the buy button, and it's a kind of decentralized game of chicken for who's gonna pay the price. And yeah, so that's a kind of the next one of these, and then the final one is the 1 of 1 auction, which we call this the binary search auction. And what this does, similar mechanism, it doubles in price when people bid. So let's say we have an asset for $10,000. That's the reserve price. It will wait 100 blocks or any amount of time we want to wait. And if no one bids in 100 blocks, then the item is returned without a sale. But as soon as someone bids, they essentially send their ether to the smart contract and the auction starts. So $10,000 will go into the smart contract. If no one else bids, then the NFT swaps go straight to the bidder, and essentially from the creator sends the NFT to the contract, the bidder sends their ether to the contract, and if there's no bids, the token swap happens, and the bidder receives the NFT and the creator receives the ether. However, if another person bids at, say, 20,000, which is the next one, the price will go to 40,000. And what happens here is it decays between these two prices. So if there's a 10K bid and a 20K bid and a 10K bid, 20K ask, then the price will decay 3 times in this kind of going, gone fashion. So this is exactly how English auction works, where normally if you go to Christie's or Sotheby's or something, there's a person with a gavel standing there articulating what the price is. Well, someone give me $15 million, someone give me $16 million. And then if there is not a bid, they will lower their price until there's no other bids in the room. And then they'll say going, gone. And that's what happens here. The price will decay from 20,000 to 15,000, halfway between the two. Then it will decay halfway again to 12,500, and halfway again to 11,250. And then if no one bids, the item is gone. But if it does bid, then the bidding cycle restarts. So if someone bids at 12.5K, the next price will be 25K. Someone bids there, it goes to 50K. And what this mitigates against is people sniping the bid. So, like if you've ever done an eBay auction, you will have experienced this. Justin Sun experienced this. He got front run on the Beeple auction right at the last minute. The bids all come in very last seconds. And essentially, whoever front runs the transaction into the mempool at the end pays the highest gas, gets in before the time limit, and they snipe the auction. What that means is that NFT is not being sold for its optimal price because there were multiple bidders willing to pay that price at the last minute. What this does is restart the cycle every time there's a bid, and essentially it searches through everyone in the room to find the highest bidder. So if you give me 1,000 people in a room interested in buying an NFT, this system searches through every single person in the room until you find the person willing to pay the highest price. So this is, we think, is a really interesting sort of novel auction mechanism. And it'll look a bit like this. So let's say this auction starts at 300. Someone bids there, it goes to 600, and then it goes to 1,200. It might decay twice in there. Someone bids here, it goes up here, decays once, bids, and you get this. Eventually, it'll go to, say, this price, decay once, decay twice, and then it's gone, sold at the previous price here. So that is it. So those 3 mechanisms, this is now added as part of our suite that we're offering out to DAOs. This is how we kind of package it. We're going to try and lure people in with like, hey, you want to do an NFT? Why don't you do a fungible token as well? And we've got the vesting system and the launching system and the yield system for it. And you should definitely consider doing a DAO with your minted NFTs. Why don't you use influence? And that means each of your NFTs have voting rights. So we kind of say, all right, the difference is here, your NFTs, your mint comes with a DAO as support. So over time, our collective here at FVT are going to be the support team for these new DAOs. We're both a collective that creates new DAO technology, but also works with DAOs. So people hanging out here can earn tokens, get access to NFTs, get all sorts of incentives for working as a collective on rolling out DAOs. So we advised you on rollout, technology, token strategy. Eventually, I want to train up 100,000 people to be able to do this as well. So it's not just me and the core team. And you also get this kind of DAO support of your NFT mint. So really the offer is you don't need to understand smart contracts. You don't need to understand any of this stuff. You're an artist. You do the art, you give us the assets, we create the NFTs, and they're issued by our dApp suite. And we've got, how this will work is that every NFT sold, the fees that go are captured by the FET token. So what hopefully we're going to have NFTs running through our system as people pick up this tool, and every single mint, very much like this has happened since day one with an FET, every single FET identity has burnt FET. Same deal. But obviously the NFT creators this time are going to want some of that, so it'll be a percentage fee. And ideally, people come for the minting and, stay for the governance and all that sort of stuff. So that is our minting suite. I'm going to jump back into the Discord. Anyone got any questions on that? Thoughts, comments? Yeah, man, go for it. Yeah, so we are contracts are done. They've been thoroughly tested. We could do this next week. So yeah, it's imminent. We are going to do this with our tribes down mint. So again, like we've done with the rest of our tools, we've built these primarily for ourselves. So our strategy now is that we're going to incubate a DAO, more than one DAO. That means we have to dog food our own technologies, understand how it all works. So we are likely to be the first mint that goes out with this. There's going to be an opportunity for FET crew to test this out imminently. We could probably try and do that tomorrow. We're certainly going to start recruiting people to help us test this out on mainnet and elsewhere. So yeah, man, it's ready. This is built, finished technology. We could go next week with it, and we are actively talking to a number of NFT projects. I think we could queue up quite a few people with this quite quickly. No worries. Any other comments? If you've got any feedback, text comments, drop them in the general. What do people think? Yeah, good question. There's a few things like in this deck. This deck is kind of partner facing. It doesn't have a lot of the. I'm going to be releasing an article that goes into the deeper into the crypto economics of this. The mass mint doesn't necessarily solve the gas race problems. It stops people getting wrecked on failed transactions. And it also resolves the metadata exposure problem that is, particularly Mikaverse, for example, had this issue where the metadata was leaked either intentionally by the core team or but unintentionally, but it turned out a handful of actors, including core team members, minted the rarest items. That isn't possible. As Yuvi was talking about yesterday, we use this technique called submarining, which means that we sort of bury the IPFS hashes until the mint has happened. The token and the IPFS hash, which links the metadata and the NFT content, is not linked together until the mint has happened. So metadata isn't exposed, but it doesn't necessarily solve the high gas fees problem of everyone running to mint an NFT at the same time. What does solve that problem is these auction tools. So if you're auctioning a something like that, what it does is slow down the race. And basically what it'll do, this auction mechanism will take the price of the NFT to a point where literally no one in the world is willing to pay for it. That's the point of this. It gets there quickly. This is why we've used it. We call it like this was originally called the exponential token auction. Still is for the fungible token launches. And price goes exponential because the intent is to find the point where everyone stops buying. So this kind of mechanism, this kind of auction, for example, would be great in like panic buying scenarios. So in the start of the pandemic, where everyone started buying toilet roll, like frenzied, like buying 10 toilet rolls. If the price of toilet rolls went exponential, the more you bought them, you'd think about it, right? You'd say, all right, then maybe I don't need 10. I'll just buy 2, or I'll wait. That's what this does. Now, that creates an interesting problem in that the market wants the gas race. Hey, this is a great NFT series. It sold out in 15 minutes and everyone paid $4,000 in gas. And that is bizarrely a kind of metric of success in the space at the moment. And that is one of the issues. It's a new mechanism. People are going to be like, what the hell is this? This is new. Same with the one-of-one auction. This is, I think, fundamentally a better mechanism than what is used on OpenSea for auctions at the moment. But again, it's a new mechanism. It's new crypto economics. It's a new primitive. It's going to take time for the market to sort of understand this as an approach to selling NFTs. Which is why we're doing our own NFT. Like we're going to release our own NFT series to which we've been working on for 3 months. Is absolutely amazing. I'm convinced it's one of the most technologically advanced NFTs that have been released yet, if not the most. To create this kind of like high demand NFT series, and then we say this, and here's a new mechanism for you to get your heads around. So how that'll work, there'll be a mass mint. We'll demonstrate all the eligibility gating. So we can do, essentially, we've got sections of the token supply that are going to go to people who make memes for us. Like there's a creative chunk. There's a chunk for ape whisperers, so people are going to go and tell people about the project. There's a chunk for people who've taken part in governance activities. There's going to be some influencers that are going to get like a chunk of NFTs, but they're going to be vested. So we've got NFT vesting that we're going to use bank for, essentially, or that this tool's integrated part of the bank mechanism into it, which means we can give an influencer like, say, 5 to 10 NFTs if they're really big, but they can't dump them into the market because they're leaked to them over a year, and they're basically incentive aligned into the project for a long period of time. So yeah, one of the key issues is that, which is normally the case with us, is that we've created something that no one understands yet because it's new, which is the main issue. But yeah, we're gonna give people, instead of waiting for another project to go, yeah, I'll try that out, we're gonna do it ourselves. No worries. Any other questions about NFT minting, anything like that? Yeah. So yeah. Sorry. Someone going to ask a question then?
Yeah. If someone wanted to use mint.vote, how would the process be? Like, what's the process?
If someone wants to kind of how do we essentially broker access to this tool?
Yeah.
It's a really good question. At the moment, it involves literally contacting us through the Discord or Telegram or something. We decide that you're not a scammer, and then we set the mint up for you. Now, eventually, this will be totally permissionless, right? So anyone, I mean, this is going to be the case when we put them out live. Our contracts are going to be open source, and someone could fork this and do it themselves, or they can come and do it with us. And with that, there's a kind of fee capture sort of system, which means that they need a reason to come and join in, to optionally give us fees for the token economy, essentially. But yeah, I imagine they would get value out of that, of being integrated into Influence, and having the support of our DAO, and essentially joining in alignment with us. Eventually, I can see there being votes for, all right, there's a sequence of mints coming up. We have minting slots that are brokered, and people essentially maybe burn FVT to hold one of these slots. But yeah, it's a bit weird, man. We're not a conventional business. We don't have. There's people doing this kind of stuff. I know of several people who've just set up businesses in London, for example, as like NFT minting specialists. Like, hey, you want to do an NFT? We'll sort it out for you. We are not a business that takes cash, because we're all in crypto, we're all in DAOs. So the deal is that you come and do it with us. There's no upfront cost. Anyone can use this. The deal is that some fees on the back end are captured by our token economy. And we'll facilitate you with uploading your art and using the metadata structures properly, and making sure everything displays properly on OpenSea and all that sort of stuff. But for the moment, it's basically just word of mouth. And yeah, I'm totally open to ideas for how the onboarding thing could work. Could be a vote. We could say we do 1 mint a week, and the DAO votes on which project is minted or something like that. That'd be pretty cool.
Yep, thanks.
I don't know. Anyone got any ideas of how we broker that? Yeah, it's an interesting problem. I mean, it goes with all of. Eventually, the second phase of our project is going to sort of start, in the next few weeks. The final stage of the project, so that's the pyramids phase, is when we start basically building out our governance systems and passing over control to a wider group of DAO members in a kind of structured, tiered power sort of dynamic. And then finally, the whole thing is fully decentralized, and all the tools are permissionless. There can be 50 auctions a day, 100 yield pools a day, and we need to build the software throughout the next period, for essentially anyone to come in and just, dead like the Google apps. I want to use this, I want to use this, I want to use this, launch. And it just kind of all happens in a kind of one click, as close to as you can get it, DAO launching system. So there's a long way to go to that, I think. But yeah, there's it's still got to be stitched together as a protocol. And it'll be up to us, really, how we do that. Any other thoughts, comments? I know Crypto Fox, you mentioned you like the one-to-one auction. I think that's I'm super excited about that, because this is for someone who's interested in auction theory. I think an unsnipeable auction is potentially a really useful thing. So I don't know if you saw the Beeple auction go down, but essentially Justin Sun tried to bid for the Beeple piece. It's like $69 million, I think it ended up as, or something like that. He tried to put a bid in at the last minute, and complained that he was front run by someone who had a faster internet connection or something, got in at the last second. If someone bids at the last second with this, the auction restarts, and a new bidding cycle commences. which means the auction just keeps going through these cycles until it finds the absolute highest price for an NFT. So I think the way we convince people to use that is we've just got evidence that this gets you the highest price for your NFT. The centralized auction houses are doing NFT auctions. They're taking 15% fees. So they're the 15% rake on, so apparently a CryptoPunk got sold yesterday at 30% below floor price. And then they took 15% on it. So they're not getting the highest possible price. They're not permissionless. They're centralized. I think we can beat centralized auction houses with decentralized technologies. What you need in order to do that is to replace that auctioneer. What Christie's provides you is with an auctioneer, a room in which to display it, and essentially access to buyers. So they essentially, the Christie's main value is a Rolodex of people who are interested in this stuff. Now, I think it's a weird thing. I think at the moment it's crypto people going to the Christie's website and buying stuff that they can buy off OpenSea. So I think what we're missing is a decentralized auction system that does the price discovery of what an auctioneer would do. And I'm fairly certain that's what this done. So that the contract is done, it's audited, it's ready to go. We've just been missing some high value NFTs to try it out on. And I think we're going to have some soon. So again, very imminent. And I think we'll see some more fungible token auctions soon as well. So yeah, pretty excited about it. Cool. So that was that. I think we've got it recorded for. I noticed a few people jump in the last minute there. So if you can see my stream feed here, I'll quickly review the 3 kinds of auction again. So our minting suite is called mint.vote. It's got 3 types of auctions: a mass mint, continuous auction, and a one-of-one auction. The mass mint is essentially like the ones we've seen in the profile picture space, which is everyone runs a smart contract to mint some tokens. We use this numbering dynamic, so you have to come and pick a number from 1 to 10,000, say. It has a fixed unit price. We can attach bonding curves to this, by the way, as well. So we could have one where every token mint costs another milli-ETH extra or something. And it looks a bit like this. And the innovation here is that you select a token number. It provides you one that's available. If your token is not available, you get a red traffic light. If the token has been a transaction has been made on it in the mempool, you'll see a little orange one here, a little amber one. So that's our mass mint. We've got another one which is like our continuous auction, where the price goes up and slowly decays over time and sells essentially as soon as one is minted, another one is available immediately after in a new NFT, and we end up with this kind of zigzaggy price discovery moment. And the final one, which we're super excited about, is the one-of-one auction, which is for selling one NFT at a time, but it's got a bidding process where the token price doubles and then searches between the 2 bid prices until it finds the highest price possible for an NFT. So a while ago, Vitalik wrote an article on solving or the problem with minting NFTs below market price. And for me, this sells it. You don't sell them below market price. You find the right price for that NFT in a price discovery process. So we've got the mass mints and 2 kinds of auction, which are for minting NFTs. So yeah, we're pretty happy about this. It's another dApp in our dApp suite. We've got 6 now. And the 6 are, I'll quickly show you which ones we've got in there now. We've got 5 on here. We don't add markets just yet, partly because we're building markets 2.0, which will be more accessible for other DAOs. But yeah, this is kind of our modular DAO suite. And honestly, this is probably enough for almost any kind of DAO you can imagine. Certainly once we've cracked our extensions to the governance suite. So yeah, if anyone's watching and knows any DAOs that think might use this, I know a few people have said recently, like, keep going looking at other projects and they need this. That's true. I think these are all tools that DAOs are going to need. Like, every DAO with a token needs proper vesting. It needs to launch its token properly, and it needs liquidity mining to get its depth up. I think pretty much every DAO will have an NFT series that goes with it as well. NFTs make better governance tools than fungible tokens do. So I think even DAOs with fungible tokens are going to mint NFTs, and they'll be able to use Mint in order to do it. So cool. Any questions? I'll hang around for a few minutes. If anyone's got any thoughts, questions, any comments, pop them in the general channel. Thanks, Eris. Glad you like the look of it. I think we've got a really nice suite of tools now. Feeling very confident we've got something that's really important for the DAO space. I think there's a couple of other platforms running at this. I think doing modular tools. I think it's mainly Gnosis and their Zodiac bucket of tools. But I've not seen too many others that are using this modular framework. I don't know if anyone's seen any others that are doing this kind of stuff. Yeah. 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 Yes. So you could find the price of anything with this, right? It's so the kind of theoretically if you, from a game theory perspective, you have, let's say you've got a population of people in the room, let's say 1,000 people looking at an item. So let's say there's an item in a box, center of the room, 1,000 people are looking at it. Everyone is mentally superimposing a price that they are willing to pay for it. So there might be a bunch of people who are like, I don't want it, in which case they're out of the game. Your 1,000 goes to 600. Then each of them mentally have a price in mind they're willing to pay. And that spread could be absolutely huge. It could go from $1 to $1 billion, right? You don't know. So what you need to do is move the price through that set of people until you find a price that no one is willing to pay. So there's, number 521 in that group is willing. He's got like £1 million in his back pocket that he's willing to spend on this. Now he could end up getting that for 20 grand if other people aren't willing. If he's in a room with the next nearest person has a 15 grand bid or 20 grand bid in mind. But what you want to do is iterate the price through the whole population until it goes over everyone's heads, and then it falls back in to the highest possible price in that group, and finding that one guy who's willing to pay the most for it. And that's this one. It's essentially, what is the price of something? whatever anyone is willing to pay for it. So there might be some absolute like millionaire. So I don't know. There's a great thing behind the scenes of like one of the highest art sales ever, and it was a Basquiat painting in Christie's, and it went for like $120 million or something. And it was some guy in a back room with like all his girlfriends and bottles of champagne and stuff, and it was like, yeah, bidding high. That's the guy you're looking for in these one-of-one auctions. So what's the price of now? If you believe you can tokenize anything with NFTs, so what you could do is have essentially a legal custodian of a physical piece of art or a physical anything. Could be a gold bar, could be a property, could be anything. You could wrap that legal ownership in an NFT and sell it with this. So you could sell properties with this, physically settled art. So one of the things we're looking into is like what's a way for this actually be physical art, right? So someone who buys the NFT essentially legally owns the physical bit. This is being done by the Damien Hirst thing at the moment. So I've got one of those Damien Hirst spotty currency NFTs. At any point in the next 11 months, I can trade that digital piece in for the physical piece and have it delivered to my door. That's what I anticipate this tool to be used for, is these, actually digital art sales, where it's the sale that's conducted that's digital, but it might be a physical piece in the background. The other one, the continuous auction, this means that you can sell series of assets on a dynamic supply, consistent dynamic supply and demand pricing. So you could imagine, all the supply shock stuff that's happening at the moment is largely due to hoarding, right? So people are like, the price of lumber went absolutely insane last year because everyone started to panic and thinking, oh my God, we're not lumber. I'm not going to be able to build anything. So big companies with huge balance sheets just bought all the lumber up, and then there's hardly any lumber left and the price of it goes crazy. What you need is time-sensitive repricing of assets in periods of high demand. So demand is like very temporal, and consistent uptrend demand is actually kind of rare. What tends to happen is everyone goes, I want this. And this is what like happens in a lot of the NFT launches. So Mikaverse, for example, boomed to like 10 ETH floor, and it's just broke one ETH floor. It's just crashed completely. And that's because that demand was very transient. Like the market didn't have long enough to think about it. And it was a kind of like fever dream where everyone thought these, Voltron copies, knockoffs, are like worth 50 grand. It's like a hysteria, right? If they were issued in a mechanism like this, you'd be damn sure what the real price, market price of those things by the time they're minted out. So yeah, price discovery, it's on our website. It's been a main thing. I think it's absolutely monumentally important for all sorts of systems. If you crack genuine trustless price discovery, I think it's a really important component in that, in digital asset distribution.